On September 10, 2025, what was intended to be a spirited political debate at Utah Valley University ended in tragedy. Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA, was shot during his Prove Me Wrong event. The incident, which occurred during a public discussion about free speech and conservative values, resulted in his death. Witnesses described chaos, panic, and confusion as security personnel attempted to control the scene while emergency responders rushed to provide aid. Kirk, a highly recognizable figure in conservative circles, was seated at a table engaging students when the gunshot rang out. Students and attendees immediately dropped to the ground, some recording the incident on their devices. Paramedics arrived swiftly, transporting him to Utah Valley Hospital. Despite the efforts of medical staff, Kirk succumbed to a neck wound. The tragedy reverberated nationally, sparking discussions about political violence and campus security. Who was Charlie Kirk? Charlie Kirk, born October 14, 1993, in Arlington Heights, Illinois, rose from a suburban upbringing to become one of America's most influential conservative voices. As the founder of Turning Point USA, he mobilized thousands of young conservatives nationwide. He gained prominence through public debates, viral videos, media appearances, and his podcast, The Charlie Kirk Show. Kirk's mission was to challenge what he perceived as liberal indoctrination on college campuses, advocating for free markets, limited government, and traditional values. He became a polarizing figure, lauded by supporters for courage and vision, criticized by opponents for divisive rhetoric. His alliance with Donald Trump and his ability to mobilize youth further solidified his influence. Kirk's sudden death at age 31 cut short a career that had reshaped youth political activism in the United States. The shooting and immediate aftermath. During the Utah Valley University event, Kirk was answering a question about free speech when a gunshot rang out. Witnesses reported panic as students ducked for cover. Kirk was struck in the neck and collapsed onto the table. Security and staff applied immediate first aid, while law enforcement established a perimeter. Paramedics transported him to the hospital. But, despite surgical efforts, Kirk died later that afternoon. The source of the shot was traced to a distant vantage point, suggesting premeditation. The campus was locked down, and police began questioning multiple individuals. No arrests were immediately reported. Video footage and eyewitness accounts circulated widely, showing the chaos and fear among attendees. Investigation and Suspects Law Enforcement launched a comprehensive investigation, examining ballistic evidence, surveillance footage, and witness testimonies. Early reports indicated that the shooter was not present among the immediate crowd, but potentially located on a nearby rooftop. Authorities emphasized that it was too early to determine motive or identity conclusively. Multiple individuals were interviewed, and police continued to work with federal agencies to ensure a thorough investigation. The investigation highlighted gaps in campus security protocols and raised questions about measures for protecting public figures at open events. Political reactions. Across the U.S., Charlie Kirk's death prompted immediate reactions from politicians of all affiliations. The president condemned the act of violence and called for unity. Republican leaders expressed shock, mourning the loss of a figure who had mobilized young conservatives. Democrats and progressive leaders, while critical of Kirk's ideology, denounced the attack as an unacceptable breach of democratic norms. Media outlets extensively covered the story, debating the implications of political polarization and the safety of public events. Town halls and campuses saw renewed discussions about free speech, ideological tolerance, and the increasing risks associated with political activism. Public and social media response. Social media erupted with reactions from supporters, critics, and neutral observers. Hashtags honoring Kirk trended nationally. Videos of the shooting circulated, fueling both mourning and outrage. Online debates intensified, with many reflecting on the state of American discourse and the dangers of ideological extremism. Crowds gathered spontaneously in various cities to hold vigils and protests, emphasizing calls for nonviolence and dialogue. The public reaction illustrated the deep emotional impact of the event across ideological lines. In addition to spontaneous vigils, several online fundraising campaigns and memorial initiatives were launched to support Kirk's family, demonstrating the far-reaching influence he had cultivated over his career. Historical comparisons to political violence. Kirk's assassination drew comparisons to previous political attacks in American history, including the assassinations of John F. Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy, Martin Luther King Jr., and other public figures. Analysts examined patterns in political violence, highlighting the risks for public figures in highly polarized environments. Experts noted that, like these historical events, Kirk's death underscored vulnerabilities during public appearances and debates. Commentators discussed the evolution of threats to political figures, including modern social media amplification, ideological extremism, and targeted attacks. These comparisons also emphasize the importance of learning from history to prevent future tragedies, particularly in educational settings and public gatherings. International reactions. Global media outlets covered Kirk's death extensively, emphasizing the shocking nature of political violence in the United States. International leaders expressed condolences to Kirk's family and stressed the importance of peaceful political engagement. News organizations in Europe, Asia, and Latin America highlighted the broader implications for freedom of speech and public discourse in America. Analysts outside the United States also reflected on the state of American democracy, noting that such high-profile political violence could have ripple effects globally. International political commentators debated the challenges of balancing free speech, public safety, and the rise of extremist rhetoric in political movements. Additionally, universities and think tanks worldwide used the incident as a case study to evaluate their own security measures for public forums and controversial speakers. Family, friends, and colleagues. Kirk's family and close associates shared public statements mourning his death. His wife, Erica Francevay, described him as devoted, passionate, and committed to his cause. Colleagues at Turning Point USA highlighted his vision for youth engagement and conservative activism. Tributes poured in from friends, former classmates, and political figures who emphasized both his personal and professional legacy. Many of Kirk's colleagues also reflected on the intensity of his work ethic, noting that he often spent long hours mentoring students and building networks for conservative activism. Close friends recounted his enthusiasm for debate, his dedication to fostering leadership among young people, and his ability to inspire loyalty and commitment in those around him. The outpouring of remembrance not only celebrated his accomplishments, but also underscored the void left by his sudden death within both personal and professional circles. Implications and the future of political discourse in America. The assassination sparked nationwide debates about the safety of public figures, the rise of political extremism, and the fragility of civil discourse. Universities and event organizers began reevaluating security measures. Politicians and commentators debated the consequences of heightened polarization. Kirk's death became a case study in the potential consequences when political differences escalate into violence. Experts warned that protecting free speech while ensuring safety would require both policy adjustments and cultural dialogue. The event underscored the urgency of addressing political divides and finding nonviolent avenues for debate. Charlie Kirk's life and tragic death reflect both the influence and the dangers of modern political activism. From his rise as a young conservative organizer to his nationwide recognition, Kirk reshaped youth political engagement in America. His assassination at Utah Valley University shocked a nation, raising urgent questions about political violence, public safety, and the future of discourse in an increasingly divided society. His legacy will continue to shape political activism, campus engagement, and discussions about free speech for years to come. Moreover, the incident serves as a somber reminder that ideological differences, when met with violence, threaten the foundations of democratic society itself. Moving forward, American society faces the challenge of nurturing open debate and ideological diversity, while ensuring the physical safety of those who participate in the democratic process. Communities, educational institutions, and leaders must collaborate to prevent such tragedies and reaffirm a commitment to peaceful discourse civility, and mutual respect. The story of Charlie Kirk is now intertwined with broader conversations about security, extremism, and the responsibilities of public figures. As investigations continue and the nation mourns, the hope remains that lessons learned from this tragedy will guide future generations toward dialogue rather than division, understanding rather than hostility, and peace rather than violence.